Welcome to the Andy and Friends podcast. I'm your friend Andy, and on this episode of the podcast, I'm talking to fellow crypto YouTuber DJ Mines. DJ has an interesting story in that he has had one foot in the traditional stock world and one foot in the crypto world. And in this episode, we will dig into his investing journey and all the important lessons he learned along the way, but also why he's putting more focus on crypto and specifically Bitcoin. We also discuss crypto mining and whether it's too late to get in. If you're new to crypto or you just want to know how to navigate the space, this will be a great episode to listen to. All right, and joining me on the podcast, DJ Mines. How you doing?
I am awesome, Andy. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, are you enjoying what's happening in the world of crypto right now?
I'm loving it, man, because crypto's been really bullish lately. And then when it goes down, I kind of DCA in a little bit more, just that extra opportunity, just buy a little bit more before 2025 comes. So I'm happy either way.
So how long have you been in the crypto space?
I first started 2016, 2017. It was on NiceHash. It was just with a GTX 960. And I only did it for a few weeks, to be honest with you, but I didn't really feel like it was that profitable for me. I wish I would have kept doing it back then, but yeah. And then I started just trading and started, I think back in 2016, 2017, Litecoin was really big. So I got into Litecoin a little bit, and then I just kind of converted all to Bitcoin.
So so you started with GPU mining with a single graphics card on NiceHash, which is like kind of the perfect way as a beginner to start this whole thing, right?
Yeah, because everybody and their mama was talking about it, and I was like, oh, you can make all this money. And I already had a gaming PC. 960 back then was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but it was pretty decent. So I was like, yeah, I can make a bunch of money too. And I didn't make a bunch of money off that.
How did that idea pop into your head? What did you see that said, you can make money with your computer? And so I'm like, I'm going to install this software and try it out.
Okay, so I pretty much just YouTubed NiceHash, like how to crypto mine. But I started seeing it on like Bloomberg, and I started seeing it on CNBC. They're talking about Litecoin and this Bitcoin thing. And I was like, oh, I heard about that before. Oh, is that what that is? I can create that on my own? Okay. Yeah, I like this.
That's cool. Yeah, I had in that era, I had a 980 Ti, feeling real frisky and fancy, and I had that one on NiceHash, and at peak, it was making like $3 or something a day. I'm like, this is so cool. But I had no concept of how much I was spending on electricity to get that $3 a day or whatever at the time. It was just super noob into that world, and then we made it. We survived. We're here.
Here we are. Yeah, I heard 30 cents or 25 cents. And at the time, I never thought, oh, maybe I should get more of these, because 30 cents for one graphics card is not a big deal. But then ultimately, maybe I could have got 50 of them or 100 of them. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just like, 30 cents? What am I going to do with this? So that's why I kind of stopped after a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So what's interesting about you is not only do you have this crypto angle, which we're going to explore that whole thing, but you also have the traditional investing side. So just generally speaking, like when did you get your start in investing, and why did you start investing?
Okay, first time was 2012. I pretty much remember it vividly. I was at work. I think I was 22, something around there, maybe even 23. And the guy at work, he was probably only 25. And he's like, yeah, man, I actually just bought a house with cash. And I was like, huh? Because this is crazy for me. I mean, you're at the same job as me. We're getting paid the same. Like, how could you? I was like, how much is it? At the time, he said it was like $220,000 cash. And I was like, what? Barely old enough to drink alcohol. And I'm like, wow, this guy just bought a home for himself. How did you do that? And he's like, oh, man, I just trade stocks. And I was like, stocks? Don't you have to like know somebody at Wall Street? He's like, nah, man. And he showed me, and it was E-Trade on his phone. And I was like, E-Trade, what is that? And he started just talking about it. And he actually sold everything. Like that was all the money he had. So he didn't like keep any to reinvest or anything. So he just kind of showed me. And then I started learning, and things were really different back then, back in like 2012, like YouTube. I mean, it was kind of around, but not really. You couldn't get a bunch of information like you can now and videos like this. And so unfortunately, I had to watch Mad Money. I don't know if you know Jim Cramer. Yeah, but that's really all there was. And then I had to go to the library, and I just started learning about it. And I had to read a bunch of books and a lot of trial and error, like a bunch, because again, there wasn't somebody that's like, hey, this is the top 10 whatever, or come look at these stocks. It was just a lot of research, a lot of learning on your own.
Were there any standout books from that period that you read that were meaningful?
I don't think so. No, I don't. They were terrible.
And I mean, your other source, Jim Cramer, he's not exactly the, I mean, they call him Inverse Kramer for a reason, right?
Yeah. But he actually made me a lot of money back in 2012. You know, I know these days he's not very good. But it was very safe plays. And I didn't really understand that maybe buying Coca-Cola or Cisco or, you know, I'd make like 20%. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And, you know, those were kind of the safer plays. And he'd even talk about like Apple or just, I never had a concept of like a bunch of money, making 1,000%, or never even thought that would be something possible because he never talked about that kind of stuff. Now looking back at it, maybe he was getting paid by a lot of these like Verizon and all them to talk about them. But hey, it worked at the time.
That's like very rudimentary early days of like YouTube shilling. It's just on a major TV network.
Exactly.
So we're at the time were you experimenting with your individual stocks and stuff? What did that lead into? How did that traditional investing journey progress from there?
Okay, so it wasn't a lot of money. Like I said, it was like 20% gain, 30% gains. So then I started Googling because this is, again, like there's not much information out there, you know, how to make more money with trading stocks. And then I would find like these garbage coins. And I'm trying to remember, I can't think of like the code right now, but one of them was like a milk company and it was supposed to be up and coming. And yeah, I lost like 50% of my money right off the bat with that. And I got messed around with some penny stocks and that was not good for me at all. And really, I started learning more about technology stocks and I started investing in something called Tesla, which all of you know now. But at the time, I think this is more like 2015 or so, like around there. I started getting involved in Tesla and Nvidia and I just held them. And I owned Facebook when it first launched, when it first IPO'd, and that did really well. And then AMD, I held for like a year when it was $4. I think it's like 120 now. And then that's really where I got all my money was tech. Because when I was listening to Jim Cramer, right, it's buy these really safe things, buy Coca-Cola, buy Apple, like I said, Cisco. And I wasn't seeing a lot of money. But when I started investing in Tesla and technology, wow, man, that's when things really got out of hand in a good way.
So do you still hold a lot of those things, or have you moved into just having some general like index fund, S&P 500 or broad market funds, or what does that look like now?
I am still holding my Tesla till this day and my Nvidia from 2015. Like, wow. Yeah, think about that. So when I was buying Tesla in today's world, I think it was like $15. And I think right now it's like 200. So I'm still holding. But what I've done is I think I put in $50,000-ish around back then. Actually, I was deployed at the time when I started getting the money for Tesla. And then I just put all my money into Tesla and Nvidia. And basically, I never take away the principal. So I've definitely at least 10x my money. And I make sure to never touch that initial like 50,000. And then, you know, that's really where I got all my money for crypto mining. And I just started venturing out from that, but I never touched the principal.
So what was it? Okay, so Tesla, you said at $15?
In today's, like, because they had a stock split. They actually had two of them. At the time, I think it was like $250. But then it went up to $3,000. And then they had a stock split. And then it went up to like 1,000 stock split. So I think at today's value, it's probably around $15.
So what was it at the time? Because, you know, this certainly is before most people start really catching on to Tesla. What was it at the time that you said, this is a place where I need to put my money? And the same question with Nvidia, because I mean, look at that rocket ship. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, so Tesla to me just seems so obvious because of the electric vehicle thing. Now, I know it's not like a new concept, but no one's really done it the way that Elon Musk and Tesla has. And everyone around me thought it was foolish. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was an idiot. Like, electric vehicles, who would want that? And I'm like, dude, just open your mind. Think about this. Like, they only at the time probably had 1% of the entire market, right? Or really EVs in general, the cars being sold. But to me, it just seems so obvious. And they were talking about autonomous driving. And I'm like, oh my God, 10 years from now, I mean, that's pretty close to where we are now. They're already talking about full self-driving and vehicles driving themselves. And I was just envisioning all these things. And I was just like, how is this not obvious to other people? Like, why would you not want that? And to me, it kind of seemed like the difference from maybe, your old phones, right? Like Nokia or something versus your iPhone. And like, how many people are really going to want to keep driving their car forever when instead one day your cars are just going to drive themselves and you just type it in. Oh, it's a 12-hour drive. That's not bad. I'll take a nap or two, right? Because the machines will do it for you, or the cars will do it for you. So to me, it just seems so obvious, but to everybody else, I was a fool. And as far as NVIDIA though, I was a gamer. At the time, I was about part-time on Twitch as well. And I just really liked NVIDIA. I didn't really know that much about it. And I just saw all the launches and how many people were excited. Actually, when I got involved with NVIDIA, I was living in South Korea. So GPUs were everywhere. Like on the side of walls, you see a brand new banner like the 980 Ti or the Titan or Titan X. I forgot. You would always see these, and it was a huge deal. There was so much hype. And so to me, it just kind of seemed obvious that people really liked NVIDIA.
So that's very fascinating because I mean I've definitely had lots of similar experiences with my journey into crypto, especially Bitcoin, where so many people around me think I'm an idiot or stupid or wasting my time, money, or life, whatever. What? How did you cultivate that like ability to compartmentalize that, or however you dealt with it, to where that was just noise and you could still like chase your own conviction or chase your own belief system? Like how did you successfully navigate that?
Oh, Andy, that's a tough one for sure. I mean, there were definitely days where I had self-doubt, like maybe I am crazy. Like, why is the price not appreciating? Why are these things not going up? I mean, how do people not see this? But at the end of the day, I had to ask myself, like, am I really that crazy? And then I had to ask myself, who are the people that I'm listening to? Because generally it was people at my job that didn't invest themselves. They don't have any more money than I do or someone else that was working with me. And I really just had to say, like, is this the person that in life they're in a position of power that I want to be in? Do I aspire to be like these people? And the answer really was no. They have never done what I want to do. So why would I take their advice? That took me a long time, and it was certainly hard to deal with, but thank God I did.
Man, that is powerful. Yeah, I try to live by the whole idea of if the person who's giving me the advice doesn't have a life that I want to live, then why on earth would I, be listening to them? And that also kind of eats at this other thing that's really important. I think the older I get, the more I realize how important this is. But there's power and influence, and certainly suggestion with the people you choose to surround yourself with, for better and for worse. And like as you've realized these things, how active have you been in that process of like, I'm going to cut certain people out, or I'm going to add certain people to my circle. This person pushes me to be a better me or chase bigger dreams or whatever. Like, how conscious are you of that aspect?
Oh, these days, I'm 34 now. Oh, I'm very conscious. Yeah, certainly in like my mid 20s, I was not. I would still hang out with the boys and maybe we would go drink a little bit. I didn't do too much or anything, but I wasn't really conscious of that. I was like, these are my friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. They can still be my friends. But at the end of the day, it's maybe we just need to cut ties, because I think they say the 3 or 5 people closest to you says a lot about you. Maybe I'm kind of butchering that. But I really thought about that. And yeah, these days I'm very conscious. Like, oh, you're not doing anything with your life? Okay, that's cool. Thank you for meeting you. Have a great life. That's kind of the attitude I have now, because I feel like I'm just getting older and older and time's kind of running out, and I really don't have time. If you're not trying to take a similar path to me or somewhere in that ballpark, thank you. It was nice meeting you. Have a good one.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people hear stuff like that and they are kind of turned off by it. And I think an important distinction is, and maybe you agree with this or not, but it's not just a money thing. It's money is one of the aspects, but it's just like a living life thing. Like, I would want to be talking to and hanging out with somebody who's chasing their own, initiatives in life, doing their own business or doing their dream travels, or take your
Yep.
pick, just going outside of the norm, the average, the mediocre. And I don't really want to spend all my waking hours with someone who they're completely content to just, do their normal job, which there's nothing wrong with a normal job. There's time and place for it. And they come home and then they just watch a show and they go sleep and they wake up and they do their job. And there's nothing really outside of that they want or they desire, they're trying to build. And that's where I'm like, I'm fine to have some of those friendships, but it's not going to be like the central part of my life, because I want
Yeah.
to see people who are doing things that I think are cool or crazy or interesting, and then go, oh, if they're doing it, certainly I can, right? So, and it pushes me. I mean, would you agree with any of that?
100%, Andy. That's what it's all about. That's why I like hanging out with you and the hobbyist miner. Hobbyist miner. I don't know if you've seen him in action.
Yes.
He is so regimented. I'm certainly not like
his
that.
His calendar is very intimidating.
He's like 08, 08:15. I don't know. Eat lunch from 8:15 to 8:30, 8:31 to 8:45 must run. And yeah, I personally can't do it, but I love hanging out with him because there's so many things I learn from him and yourself and other people who are on like a higher level than me. And it motivates me. And I'm like, man, I could do this. If he could do, I can do this. Yeah, we could do this. Let's do it.
Well, if we're all wanting the same things, we're all on the same level, and that's what I love. So talk to me about what your current approach is when it comes to the world of traditional investing.
Andy, these days, I don't know. I've been watching too much Michael Saylor, probably, but he's really clicking. It's really
compelling.
It's like, it almost is like I've been looking for some information to take in. It's almost like a feeling. And I know in the back of my mind, there's probably a lot more money in crypto than there is for stocks with me. And, I know he's saying this is like the digital gold rush. And I really considered what he said. And I listened to a lot of his podcasts. And I'm like, man, like how much more can I make off Tesla? Like maybe another 2 or 3x. But what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin's just ramping up. Bitcoin's just starting, And so I have to really ask myself, do I really even need these stocks anymore? I mean, I've made my money with them. And I think honestly, the answer for me is pretty much no. I haven't sold them completely or anything, but I'm definitely considering it, like next bear run, just kind of swapping out from there. But the good thing about stocks that I really like is it's much larger. So is Forex, right? Like if you're involved in crypto, it's actually really small. Very small compared to like the other traditional markets. And I learned a lot from those, almost what could happen with crypto. And that experience has helped me a lot because with crypto, like let's just say you're following Bitcoin, like nothing is really going to happen with Bitcoin as far as like a quarterly earning or what's happening with inflation. Like you're not going to get any information from other cryptocurrencies either. But I learn a lot of information of kind of what's going on in the world. And then I apply that information into crypto and consider like how this could make me more money.
Yeah. So you're drinking the Sailor Kool-Aid a little bit. I like that. Yeah. You're ready to just put another mortgage on the house and go all in with Bitcoin like he's kind of said in the past?
I would 100% if I didn't have a family. 100%. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Oh, all yeah. Right. No doubt.
So, but there is a pretty, and I agree with you, obviously, as someone who's like 60 to 70% of net worth is crypto. But, there is pretty big differences between the world of traditional investing and crypto. Yes, there's many opportunities for higher multiples in the world of crypto, but the downside is, the downsides are plentiful. The volatility and these really rough bear markets. So, like, I imagine you're better equipped now than you were a couple of years ago to handle that stuff. But what has changed? How are you able to deal with a 40 to 80% downturn on Bitcoin or something?
That's a good question. So basically for me, I have a full-time job. I actually work a lot more than a full-time job. And so that covers everything. So I don't really have to worry about it too much. I mean, with my job, I get the healthcare. My whole family gets the healthcare. Everything's paid for. And so I don't ever have the fear. It goes down 60%. Awesome. I can't wait because in 2 weeks I can get more money and we're going to buy some more, right? I'm just going to keep putting more in, whatever that is, always investing. I always say I am poor. I'm not broke, but I'm poor because, well, I don't ever have a spare cent because every time I get more money, once the bills are paid off, it's invested. So like if you were to ask me, hey, can I get $1,000? Poor man, I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I don't have any money because every time, every 2 weeks or every month, I'll just constantly invest every penny I have. So it doesn't really scare me. Like I said, I get happy either way. I know the overall direction. I know the long term, we're going to go up. So if it goes down for the next 6 months, I don't really care. I'll just buy more because the ultimate goal is actually the long term. I usually try to think 2 bull runs ahead. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm really focused on 2029 and how I can best, take advantage of the bear and the bull market and then just sell it all right after 2025, buy it back in 2026 because the real goal for me is 2029.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Super long. Yeah. Definitely having a long-term mindset. One, it takes time to develop, but man, in this space, so crucial. It's funny you said that whole thing about poor because my good friend Colin, name is Decade Investor Online. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I know him.
But he tweets pretty often. He's like, checking account, $3,000, savings account, $1,500, investment accounts, $500,000. He's like, from all exterior point of views, I look poor or whatever, but that's because I spend all my money on investments. So what is it? What's the compelling? I've heard it contextualized in different ways, but when you take that money and you put it into investments, what does that feel like you're buying yourself?
Ooh, I feel like if I put in $100, I'm going to get back 300. That's how my mind works. So it's very hard for me to justify purchasing things and like wasting it on things. Like, for example, this drink here, I don't know, it costs $4, but I'm like, if I spend this $4, that's really $12 ultimately. So it's for sure, that's how I think about it, is I just want it all in there, because also with inflation, right? We're losing 7-8% of our money. So what's the point of me keeping it in this cash? Because if you think about it, the next 3 years, maybe I'll lose 21% of the value. That's pretty bad. That doesn't sound too good to me. So I always need it to grow. It's kind of so it can sustain itself.
Since you have had one foot on the traditional side, given what you just said about inflation, do you feel like people are starting to become disillusioned with the traditional investing world? Because I'm certainly have been an advocate of investing in S&P 500 index funds in the past. It is, it's definitely a foundational thing you can do, but 100 years lifetime return on the thing is 8% or 10% if you're being generous per year.
Yeah.
But if inflation is 6-7%, then you're making actually 3% a year. Are people waking up to this? Are people starting to see this? Are people getting disillusioned with our system as it stands?
I definitely think so, Andy. For sure. And everybody I talk to at work that is younger than me, it's probably like 20 of the people. I'm like, hey, man, you should buy this Bitcoin, or you should buy Tesla stock. And they're like, no way, man. Did you see what Doge did last time? Did you see about this new meme coin? They're like, yeah. And then they're like, I just got 1,000x, Brad. I got, 500%. And I'm out here preaching to them, hey, guys, been where you at. It's a slow grind. It's a long-term thing. No way. The guy on TikTok makes $2,000 a day. And you just told me I could potentially get $2,000 over the next year. Like, they're like, man, how do I get rich with $1,000? That's always the first thing. Or $500. I want millions because I see these guys over here doing it. And that's the fast money. I think traditional doesn't sound too enticing for a lot of people.
Okay, I want to talk about this. So you have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. We get constant comments and stuff, and I am almost guarantee you get some of the same comments as I do about, like, I've got $500. Where do I invest it? I've got $1,000. Where do I invest it? I want to turn it into $100,000 or whatever. That is in my estimation, a very scary way to be thinking about these things. So what is your advice to that person who has $500 in their account, burning a hole in their pocket? What should they be doing?
You want me to tell the truth, Andy?
Yes, only the truth.
Get a job. You need to get a job. You need more money. But okay, fine. You know what? You only got $500. Okay, man. You know what? Why not? You might as well shoot for the moon at $500. I mean, unless you want a 2x, which is maybe 3x from Bitcoin or something. But yeah, I would say get more money. But dude, you got to play high risk if you only got a couple $100, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe $500 isn't going to turn into anything. I think what you said is the answer, which is make more money, which everyone rolls their eyes at, and they're like, well, duh. But I mean, my own story, if I rewind to when I was still in debt, didn't have any investments and stuff, I wasn't YOLOing the only $500 I had into a meme coin. I was driving for Uber, and I was selling everything that wasn't nailed down in my house on eBay, and I was doing whatever I could to earn extra money, and then that extra money I started trying to deploy. And yeah, I made a bunch of mistakes along the way. Lost a lot of it, but I eventually figured things out, and that was able to accelerate this journey. But why do people have the mindset that, I've got my $500, I don't need to earn more. I just need to put it in the right place and do this thing. Why do people think like that?
Probably from the YouTube shorts and the TikToks, and it's marketed that way, right? Because I mean, hey, some of those people, maybe they actually do it. I don't know, right? But I bet you a lot of them don't. And they're trying to sell you this advertisement of like, come make $1 million, right? Because that's what everybody wants to hear. Dang, he's making $1 million over here. Wow, this other guy, this sucker over here, he's talking about a 10-year plan, 10 years, and for them, they might be young. They might be like 21, 22, 25. They're like, oh, 35. Are you crazy? This is absurd, right? So probably end up losing that $500 along the way.
How do you, what advice would you, maybe looking back at your own 20-something-year-old self, like how do you change that? How do you go from, I need to turn this 500 into $1 million to, 10 years to become a multimillionaire? That's actually pretty fast. That's not a bad path.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make that shift?
For me or for like other people?
For you, but maybe other people would relate.
Yeah. So, if I had $500 right now, yeah, I would probably, if I had to change the mindset up real quick, God, I would make more money. Is that the only way? I would have to make more money.
So given all that, let's further expand out here. Given that you're looking at, is my time with stocks coming to an end? Am I going more all in with crypto or even Bitcoin? What is your current approach to crypto investing?
Yeah. Recently, the approach has kind of changed. I feel like almost the writing's on the wall for me of where I just need to stop messing around with too much poo-poo. Like I'm really involved in a lot of poo-poo. I do have my Bitcoin, and I have some other good projects, but I feel like I'm almost overexposed. I think I have 36 positions right now that I ultimately don't want to be in forever. I probably believe in like 4 of them, like Caspa, Flux, a couple other, but I got to ask myself, like, how long are some of these other coins even going to be around? Because I think statistically, it's not very good chance that they will. But I don't think I'll ever full on get out of all spec mining. I like spec mining. You can make a lot of money with it, right? But I think I definitely want to put a lot of that spec, not right now, but in 2025, take that spec money, throw it into Bitcoin. Because now, I'm in the hundreds of thousands when I'm trading, not like at once, but like total. So now I don't really need to take a lot of risk, right? Like I want to get away from super, super risk eventually, like as time goes on. I had to take a lot of risk initially, right? Bought Tesla before everybody knew about it, NVIDIA and all these things, Facebook when it first IPO'd, but that's really high risk and I could lose all my money, right? And so now I just kind of want to have it nicely grow, steady grow, something like Bitcoin, something a little safer.
So is there, okay, let's say you, for the next cycle or two, you dabble in stuff that's smaller. Let's say you make some really good money. You put those profits all into Bitcoin. Is there an exit strategy there? Do you see yourself taking profits on Bitcoin eventually and going into S&P 500 index funds? Do you see yourself in Bitcoin for the rest of your life? Like what's the end goal?
Definitely would not put in S&P 500. No way, because out of the top, the top 500 companies in America. And according to Michael Saylor, right? I know I was watching a lot of these podcasts. He said only 7 of them even turned a profit. So it's like, why do I need to hold all of that, right? Because they make a lot of money off of you as well for putting it in S&P 500. They'll get their 2% commission, right? Just for handling your money for you. And then 20% of the upside, which is a lot in the end. It doesn't sound like much, but I don't want to give them my money. I'd rather just buy the winners, which I think are the winners. And I think Bitcoin for sure is going to be a lot better for me than coming back or putting more money into stocks and traditional.
So when you're looking at all these other cryptos out there that you want to have do well, and then you can roll those profits into Bitcoin or whatever, what are you looking for in those? Like when you see these things, the Fluxes, the Caspas, etc. of the world, the Clors, thank you for that one again.
Yeah, Clor.
What catches your eye with those? What's your checklist, the DJ Minds checklist that says this is worth my time and effort?
Well, recently it was AI, anything with the name AI in it. And literally a lot of those just because they had AI at the end, like NeurAI, Clor AI. There's a bunch of them these days. And after watching NVIDIA's conference, I believe it was a year and a half ago, roughly, everybody was talking about AI. I mean, Facebook, Amazon, everybody's obsessed with it. Everybody now, if you notice, is talking about AI. Whether they do it or not, it's just such a marketable thing. I can't imagine AI going away at all. I don't think think so. I mean, some people will say, you know, maybe it's a bubble, it's popped. No way, because 5 years from now, the technology is going to be way better. And 10 years from now, I think the ultimate goal for AI, I'm just kind of going crazy here with the metaverse, is when I can just go into this game world and I can travel anywhere. I could be anybody I want to be. Until that point where I can do anything at any time, I think AI is still going to be very relative.
Yeah, I think the kind of finding a narrative within crypto or finding sectors that could be trending is really powerful. So within that, if you're looking for some more quality things longer term within like AI or within, you know, DePIN or what have you, within crypto, what for a specific project, what do you look for? Is it the team? Is it the community? Like, what is it?
So it depends on the tier. Like the top tier, of course, your NVIDIA's, you know, potentially your AMD's coming out and everything. A step down from that, like Render. I love Render. Render is fantastic. Their team is great. They're a really big deal. They're actually, to my knowledge, they made a lot of the graphics for Star Wars. I don't know if that was the show or the movie. I'm not really too sure on that. They're doing really big stuff. So that's like your mid-tier stuff. Then your lower ends, not lower, but, you know, smaller than that, like Flux Proof of Useful Work. I like to think that's going to be really good. What I'm looking for a lot of those, though, is getting in really early. Right? Like you got to get in early with a lot of those. And to be honest, I'm not really sure if Clori actually does artificial intelligence. I'm not even sure if most of them do AI at all. I think it's more of just like GPU rendering and just maybe doing jobs and stuff. So maybe it's not the most like sexiest name for it. But it depends on the tier, to be honest with you.
So so you just said the big thing is getting in early, finding them early. How do you do that?
Ooh, that's always the hard part, Andy, isn't it? I didn't use Bitcoin Talk much until I spoke to you, I think at Mining Disrupt. So I will do that a little bit these days. And I'll just try to find when they're first coming out, if it's like the GPU side. Now that's, again, that like the lower end tier stuff. The mid tier and like the upper tier, I'm actually going to see what their company is doing. I'm going to look at their earnings report. I'm going to see, you know, what they're talking about. I actually am kind of a nerd in that way. I will listen to the whole quarterly annual report and I will read it. And I like reading it. I have fun. It's kind of nerdy, but I like looking at their numbers. I like projecting where they could go and listening to what the analyst is saying about them. I consider that. And so, yeah, I think that's probably it for me.
So maybe you've probably already kind of covered this, but just to recap, what are some of your what make up maybe your top 3 or top 5 biggest traditional investments or stocks?
So these days, I only own NVIDIA and Tesla. The biggest winners, though, to be honest with you, was a penny stock. So it's kind of a weird story. I was against penny stocks because remember after like 2012, I messed around with them, didn't work out. Well, I think it was 2017. I was getting bored. That's the one thing about stocks that is really boring. You just buy, at least my strategy, wait several years. At the end of it, you hit sell. So in between, it doesn't really matter what's going on. And I just got kind of bored. And I think, I saw some things on YouTube where people make a bunch of money day trading. So I tried it out again. I was like, I can do this. I got E-Trade Pro. I'm sitting there with like 4 monitors, all this effort. I think I took a week or 2 of vacation and I'm day trading. I'm reading all these stupid charts and trying to keep track of it. And I turned that 5K into about 35K, I think in the same day. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, that's almost as much as I made for my job at the time. I was like, this is pretty good. Did it again, flipped it a couple times, flipped it, and I turned into like $60,000. And I was like, oh, wow, this is easy. This is what it's about. That would have taken me a year or 2. Okay, cool. Then I found this other company. I forgot what it was called. I think it was OMVS. It's penny stock, useless these days, but they were claiming they're working with NVIDIA. They had like an NVIDIA sticker on this robot. And instead of having like a security guard, they were supposed to replace security guards. So I was like, this is a great story. This sounds awesome. Invested all 50 or 60K into it. And I lost 98% of that money in like a week. And then it's like, nope, no more, no more penny stock.
Penny stocks are like the deep trenches of crypto. It's easy come, easy go, unfortunately. What are your top 5 or so positions in the world of crypto right now?
Top 5 position, Bitcoin for sure. That's probably 60% of my portfolio. Number 2 is Kaspa. Love me some Kaspa. Kaspa is, I'm super bullish on Kaspa. Probably number 3 at the moment, accidentally, is Solana. I just bought a bunch of that, and oh my goodness, it looks like maybe potentially one day it could be as big as Ethereum. I don't know. We'll find out. After that, it was Clore. I did end up selling all my Clore. So, and the 5th one, I would probably say is NeurAI right now. It's just because it appreciated so much, you know, and it's up a couple 1000% for me.
What do you like about NeurAI?
I didn't like anything about NeurAI. I just had AI on it. It was the same as, yeah, it was the same as Clore because that was the narrative, right? I saw a trend that looked like it was about to happen, right? Based off of NVIDIA, right? Because I was watching that and everybody's hype. And I said, oh, I bet you the same thing is going to happen in the crypto space. Surely enough, this thing called CloreAI pops up. I said, oh, it's actually coming true. Then NeurAI, then AIPG, then all these other ones. Just bought them all or mined them all. And yeah, I don't really like much about any of them, to be honest with you. But the narrative played out.
What about Kaspa? That's your number 2 biggest position. Why is that one there?
I love Kaspa. Okay, listen. Sometimes it's really boring to solve the trilemma or attempt to, right? Faster. Okay, yeah, you've heard it 100,000 times, right? More secure, you could argue that. Cheaper, yeah, you hear that all the time. But what if it was actually true? Like, if we're really going to get adoption in a different way, I mean, then you have to have people use it. And it's not just send your friend $10,000, like, you know, maybe using it on your Visa or instead of a Visa, your Kaspa card at Walmart or something. If we're ever going to get to that point where little Susie and grandma's actually using it, you have to solve the trilemma because I love me some Bitcoin, but it's not solving that, right? Like you buy your Bitcoin, you keep your Bitcoin. That's pretty much what you do. Could you use the Lightning Network? Yeah, sure. You could argue that. But if we actually need it used. Now, the best thing about Kaspa for me is there's no tier 1 exchange, which means it has nothing but good news ahead of it. As soon as we start hearing, oh, it's on Coinbase, oh, it's on crypto.com, oh, it's on Kraken, boom, 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 right? Not to mention, right now, they're just building their bridge. If you could imagine like a bridge from New Jersey to New York, basically their layer 1 is building the bridge, then they're going to launch the layer 2. That opens it up for smart contracts. We're not even at that point. We are so early on Kaspa, it has nothing but good news ahead of it. Where a lot of some of these other coins that are established, they have all of the good news already out there. I think there's nothing but blue skies ahead for Kaspa.
Kaspa price into 2024.
Ooh, into 2024, I'm going to say 42 cents.
Okay, Kaspa
I'm just making
price,
that number up.
Kaspa price in the next cycle.
Peak Kaspa price, $1.05.
Okay.
I hope more though.
I like anything over $1. That sounds good to me. Let's talk about Bitcoin for a minute here. So you've entertained this idea of, you know, getting rid of stocks going into Bitcoin. I know in the past, because you tweeted it, you sold some stocks to buy a full Bitcoin or close to one. You sold some Tesla to do that. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. I didn't mean to do it, but yes. I was going to buy a new kitchen for the wife.
Okay. If you, you know, there's the angle that of, you know, maybe it's going to move the needle more. So instead of just a 2x, maybe it's a 3 to 5x of your money instead. So there's that angle. Is it purely that, or why this gravitation towards Bitcoin?
I think it's because I'm playing with more money now, right? I'm taking it more seriously. Stocks has always been my main, right? That's for years has always been my main source of income. It's not my job, right? It's not crypto. It hasn't been, but now I'm starting to think, you know, is there more return here? And the reason it hasn't been more into crypto is because it was more of a riskier thing. 2024 is a really interesting year, though, if you think about it. The Bitcoin ETFs are now approved, which basically says, in a way, hey, we're not going to make this illegal. Okay, maybe they'll tax it more. I have no idea, but we at least know it's going to be around and they're not going to bar it. They're not going to ban it from us. So it seems that way. That for me, 2024 is a game changer, right? So a lot of people might think we're too late, but I'm telling you, 10 years from now, you're going to look back at 2024 and say, wow, that was revolutionary. This really where it all started, right? If you ever seen The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin, I don't know if you've seen that movie. Oh, super interesting. But basically, they were really scared if it was going to become illegal. It shows like the first couple years of Bitcoin since its inception, and it was constantly under scrutiny. Oh my goodness, am I going to lose all my money? Right? And in fact, that was the biggest thing to worry about. Am I going to go to jail for this Bitcoin thing? And those things are all out the window now. So for me, it doesn't seem that risky anymore. It almost seems like Bitcoin's the safest thing I could possibly do.
So is it just in your mind a speculative asset, or is it going to be something more in the next 5 to 10 years?
I don't think Bitcoin is speculative anymore, in my opinion. Definitely, it's going to grow more and more and more. It's going to be the digital gold, right? We get rid of everything. We got rid of newspapers. We got rid of books. We're getting rid of most things that are physical, if you can, within reason. Why would we not get rid of gold? Like, what do we need the gold for besides applying it into the real world for some use cases? But as far as like a currency, or like, America isn't even backed by gold anymore since President Nixon, right? So that's not even something we have to think about anymore. I don't see gold being that relevant anymore.
Yeah, I see digital gold. It's a kind of a no-brainer for me. I see that's where Bitcoin is going. And with the very apparent failures of fiat currencies, we need something to back these things up. So it seems to me like it's a pretty clear fit that in the future, Bitcoin could be the world reserve currency, world reserve asset, something that you can back stuff up on, provably scarce. Do you see that kind of a future for it?
Ooh, that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough, right? Because nobody wants to give up that power and get like this universal, I don't know if you want to call it currency or whatever you want to call it, but I could see that becoming more of a thing for sure. It's going to take a long time. And I want to be clear when I say I don't think there's going to be much future for gold. I'm talking like way down the road, right? Like, and I think over time, throughout many more cycles, I think Bitcoin's going to become more stable. I'd be surprised if we kept seeing 70% drops. I'm not saying for this next run, but 10, 20 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised if it was trading more like gold, where it's just a little slower, right? Not as much volatility, just kind of safe.
But if you wait until there's no more volatility to invest, you missed all this upside, which is just, why would you want to miss it? Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about mining. You're a crypto miner. So what is your current mining setup?
Right now, it's all ASICs at the moment. The GPUs just weren't making enough money. My electric rate's really high. It's 16 cents. I currently have 4 Kaspa miners at this home right now. Even at 16 cents, though, super profitable. The cool thing about Kaspa, if anybody doesn't know, electricity rate doesn't matter pretty much at all. The difference for me getting hosted at 8 cents and paying 16 cents is like $1. So, the machine's making 120 bucks all combined right now. It was closer to 200, and hopefully it stays around at least 100 bucks a day. But you don't have to do anything for it, right? The money just keeps coming. It's just these money printers for Kaspa. Then I also have 4, I think it's about 4 ASICs getting hosted as well, doing phenomenal, just constantly making money. And then it's crazy to think about. One small machine, like my KS3 out there, makes more than my $100,000 graphics card operation. Something small.
That's crazy. So what Kaspa miners do you have?
So I have a KS3, I have 2 KS2s, and I have a KS0 OG one.
Nice. These are all Ice Rivers?
They are all Ice River, yes.
Yep.
And I'm also really big into DePIN. I've got 5 demos going right now. I'm working on 2 more Hive mappers. I got 1 going, and I'm trying to get more and more demos. And I actually met a guy who has 168 demos going, and it's crazy money.
That's cool. So where are your 5? Are you like friends and family? Where are they deployed?
People at work. So 2 of them are in my cars. And then, I just asked them like, hey man, can I buy you lunch like once a month if I just plug this into your car? And they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. It doesn't even bother them. They said they don't even know what's in their car because, I just put it in and then I hide it, just zip tie it, and they don't even notice it's there ever. And you don't have to do anything, right? It's 100% passive. Like once you've installed it, you have one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like once you install it, that's it. You're done forever. So yeah, I want to continue to do that. It's much easier. And the other 20 people at work, if you're ever watching this, let's get this going.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm sure most people listening to my podcast have heard of Demo, but it's a $300 device that plugs into the diagnostic port of your car. And in return of letting them share in your car's data, which modern cars do anyway without your permission, and you don't get paid for it. In return for using that data, Demo pays you in their token. And my two devices on our two cars have made thousands of dollars at this point. So yes, if you're listening to this and you have coworkers who will let you put one in their car for lunch, that is a fantastic trade. I like that a lot.
Do it. And then I'm also involved in GeoNet. Got one of those. That just paid itself off in like 3 months, I think. That was really good. I've been messing around with Helium Mobile. And the reason I'm loving DePIN is because there's no bill, right? And GPU mining, ASIC mining, as you know, there's a bill. It's almost like when you get your cell phone and now you got to pay this monthly cost. That's what mining is, right? So I'm like, oh, God, I got to keep paying this power bill. But I love with DePIN, that's it. $270 with people's discount code, done. That's it, forever.
Yeah. DePIN, I think it's also interesting from that perspective because, there's states like California, the US, which the electricity rate somewhere like 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. And what would you rather do? Run a device that takes up 3,500 watts or run a device that uses like 5 watts, less than a bulb? It might cost you a few cents a year to operate the thing, $1 or $2 a year to operate the thing. And those can sometimes earn more than those big expensive machines, like several of the ones you just said. I mean, at this point, have you broken even on your Demo investment?
10x easily.
Yeah.
10x.
And I'm assuming the same with Hivemapper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of money. The guy who told me about it, he's up $50,000 because he ran 2. So I've been in Hivemapper for probably a year now. He did it like 3 months before me, but he took it a lot more seriously than me. He actually drives around America for his job anyways. So he's up big.
What else? So again, another thing for those who don't know, DePIN is Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. These are crypto companies, crypto projects that they want some kind of data or some kind of service to provide to people, to customers. But instead of them investing in all the infrastructure to set it up, in the servers or in the mapping cars or in the data collection devices, they have people like us buy those things out of our own money, but then they pay us back effectively for the data usage, and it can be very lucrative. So within this space, we just mentioned a couple of them. Are there any that you're looking at right now that you haven't jumped into yet, or ones that you just got, you're excited about?
I want to get a different Helium Mobile because there's so many Helium Mobile things, and I must have got the wrong one. I got one apparently that you're supposed to put in a business and like hang it up at the ceiling, and you really make a lot of money from people connecting to it from your phone. What's interesting though, when they launched it in Miami, it's $5. I believe it's unlimited. $5, kind of like a pilot. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of potential with that. And I think the Hobbyist Miner has an outdoor one, which really broadcasts a lot of miles. I don't know how many, maybe it's 30, maybe it's 100. I don't even know. But I wish I would have got one of those as well because I still think it's very, very early. But that also costs like $3,000. So I'm considering it. We'll see.
I have an indoor one as well. And it's not the high earner of the outdoor ones. But I also bought mine like when they first came out like a couple years ago. And then like a lot of other things, because I just, you know how it is. We make content, we do these things, stuff falls by the wayside. Our to-do list of crypto things is like multiple feet long. It sat in a box in my shed for like 2 years, and I only turned it on like 6 months ago or something. But yeah, that's exciting. Helium Mobile, what they're doing is very exciting. So, and then you said you got the Casper miners. What are the other ASICs? Are they Bitcoin ASICs?
2 of them. So I actually just ordered a S21, and then I already had a S19 XP. I got a D9, which is for Dash. That thing has been incredible. That's a sleeper right there. The K7, that's been amazing for CKB. And I think that's it. I think I sold the others.
Got it. Yeah, I like the S21s. I just bought 5 of them. So people listening to this, maybe there's different levels to this answer, but is now a good time to get into crypto mining?
Crypto mining, I think obviously 6 months to a year ago would have been a lot better, but you're not too late. Definitely not too late at all. But if you're going to do it, you need to hurry up because the bull run's coming. Prices, if they haven't already gone up for hardware, it's just going to continue to go up. So kind of feel like when we're in this downtrend a little bit, it's not really a big downtrend, but Bitcoin's like 66, 67,000 maybe area. Yeah, you have a little bit more time. Just do it. If you're going to do it, just do it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. You just got to go now if you're going to do it.
And if they are going to do it now and they've never started, where do they start?
Ooh, I would start off with GPU. Hopefully you already have a computer and you could just start off with that. Yeah, try NiceHash, try something small, or watch somebody's channel and you can maybe learn something. See if you like it though, because it's a very expensive venture if you decide to go down this route.
Why do you like GPUs? Is just the ease of getting into it, or is it the versatility?
It's very enjoyable. It's very, very enjoyable. And, you can mess around with other projects as well. So ASICs is just one. So if you get a Bitcoin ASIC, you can only mine Bitcoin. But with GPUs, oh, this new project just came out. That sounds interesting. I could flock over there. But it's only going to cost you a couple $100, if that, for the GPU, plus some other parts. So very, if it doesn't work out, it's not a lot of money that you lost. And some people, it's not for them, right? There's a lot of people who don't want to tinker, who don't want to build something because it's a lot of work. The more you get, I've had days where I had to clean 50 graphics cards. And one time, and I mean, it took me like a couple days, and I'm like, man, there's something else I could be doing with my time right now than cleaning all these fans, So you got to make sure you really want that.
Yeah, I like GPU mining a lot. I've obviously made lots of money with GPU mining. I love the versatility of it. It lets you jump into stuff super early before it even hits exchanges sometimes. But I cannot deny it's complicated. It's, you have to have experience building computers, or you have to learn the ropes on how to build computers. And it's like managing a more flaky, temperamental computer. And there's the cleaning and maintenance and various things. And then there's like moving it around to different, being savvy enough to understand where you should be putting it. So yeah, it takes a certain type of person, for sure. But maybe you'd agree with this. I don't think it's like hopeless if you're not fully in that world of techie stuff. You can definitely learn it, but you have to and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like you have to love it in order to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to be too much of a chore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You really got to like getting your hands dirty and tinkering with things. Honestly, one of the main reasons I got back into GPU mining is because I was making a lot of money in the stock world, but I was bored. Like there was nothing for me to do. This is even in COVID, or I was like, man, there's just nothing for me to do. I got all this money, but I'm just bored out of my mind. The weekends here literally have nothing to do, right? I don't have anybody to hang out with, which is fine for me, but I don't have anything to do but watch my money go up. So then I started watching like Red Panda, and I was like, oh man, oh yeah, I remember this. I tried this out before, and you can wait a minute, I can make money and I can have something physical to do, to tinker with when the kids are maybe in the other room on their iPad or something. So for me, that's why I did it, because it was just something to do.
And what's your strategy with mining? Are you mining and holding? Are you selling as you go? What do you do with the actual coins that you're mining?
I mine and hold everything. The only exception recently was Clore AI, which might end up hurting me, but I'm not against getting back into it. I just saw the cup and handle pattern play out, and I was like, okay, I think this is going to go down for the next couple months. And I really needed the money because a little tornado hurricane thing came over and destroyed my fence. So it worked out. And I did buy an S21 with it as well. So I did reinvest that.
Yeah, I will never begrudge somebody for taking profits, because nobody went poor taking profits. Now you might miss more upsides and stuff, but it's better than going to zero. And then two, I'm not gonna be mad at you for buying a Bitcoin ASIC, getting something to mine the hardest money ever created. I love it.
Bitcoin halving, right around the corner. Things are going to change for a while, hopefully for the better. But what's interesting? Right now, we're getting, 6.25 Bitcoin, something around there. So then it's going to become 3. Okay, wow, that's a big change. What about after that? 1.5, 1.25, something in that ballpark. But after that, we're talking about less than a Bitcoin, a couple cycles from now. And you got to get it while you still can, in my opinion.
What are your expectations around the halving? We are, as we record this, we're like 30-ish days away from going from 6.25 to 3.125 Bitcoin per block mined, which means miners around the world, the moment it happens, our Bitcoin revenue, just the block reward revenue from new minted coins, will be literally cut in half the moment that happens. So what are your expectations around that, and what are your thoughts on it?
I think as far as the price, historically, which doesn't mean anything now, but historically, we always have a sell-off. But we just had an all-time high before the Bitcoin halving, right? So, I mean, obviously this cycle's a little bit different. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a nice little sell-off, but ultimately towards the fall and the winter, and then definitely in 2025, I see nothing but upside. And then things will become profitable for everybody, in my opinion. And it's going to be a beautiful time. You know, the Timmies come out. The Timmies come out in the bull run. They will buy anything at almost any price. So yeah, you definitely want to be holding. At least I do.
And this is something you talk about on your channel a lot. The Timmy is the newbie retail investor. Is that what that is?
Yeah, basically, Timmy's, you know, he buys high, sells low. You know, he listens to all these people tell him this isn't the way to do it. You should do it this way. And he'll listen to anything you tell him, you know, first try.
So the lesson here is don't be a Timmy.
Don't be a Timmy, Andy.
So, okay, if you think, obviously very different place than we've ever been before. Never had an all-time high before the halving. Last cycle, we were still down 40% from the previous all-time high before the halving. So we're in a totally different place. And last year, we didn't have a correction after the halving. We actually had a correction like 2 days before. It was a 14% correction. So we're in uncharted waters. So what is the DJ expectation for the rest of 2024? What's the price of Bitcoin going to be? When's the market peak out? Share that with me.
Ooh, this is a guess. So, you know, everybody that's watching this, don't blame me.
If you said it wasn't a guess, I would think red flag immediately. Like, what is this guy?
85,000? 90 maybe. Like, I'm thinking like 85 or so. It's really hard to say though, because I think the other day there was 6,000 Bitcoin bought on average a day from the ETFs, right? So I mean, now we're going from 900 to 450. Where's that Bitcoin going to come from? Right? You know what I mean? The price has to go up, I would assume. And then once all the Timmies start coming out, right? Because they didn't want Bitcoin when it was 16 or 20,000 or 25. It was a scam to them at that point. But once we start getting closer to that 100K mark, like, oh, this sounds great. I want some. So once they start coming and stuff, yeah, big money. I think 85 would be pretty fair.
So you think peak this cycle 85?
No. 2024.
2024. Oh, so you don't think the cycle is going to peak in 2024? You think it's going to be 2025?
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
sure.
why do you think that?
So many variables. Election year, right? Now I'm starting to see, not to get political or anything, now I'm starting to see it mentioned at least. And then, you know, usually when we have a new president, things change. Maybe they don't actually change, but something to your mindset does. Like, this is going to be different. Wow, let's restore all this. I think that's huge. Potentially, we could get rate cuts, right? So interest rates, I mean, they're killing us lately. But if they were to stop that as well, not to mention the Bitcoin halving, not to mention the ETF, I think there's just so much good news towards the middle or late of 2024, leading into 2025. Optimism, right? People want a bull run. Maybe we don't actually need a bull run, but we want one. So I think it's going to be exciting.
That is very interesting. So that's later than what my expectations are given where we are right now. So you think 2025 we have full on peak bull market. Okay, so if that happens, what is the DJ prediction for Bitcoin price in 2025?
Whew, probably 130 to 150K, somewhere around there.
I like.
But I won't be waiting
answers.
that long. I can't wait that long.
So you will exit before that.
Definitely. Anything over 100K, I'm not going to start exiting, but it kind of depends where we are in 2025. But again, you know, that's also based off of the last bull run and the bull run before that. So I could be completely wrong. I really could. So I don't know. I think I'll feel it. I'll know the euphoria when people that I don't know or people at work are like, did you hear about Bitcoin? Did you hear about Bitcoin? Okay, that's my signal, right? When I start seeing it all over Facebook from old friends that don't even like cryptocurrency and everybody and their mother's talking about it, that's when I'll start knowing, okay, I need to start getting out of this because that's when it's going to pop.
And so, yeah, I've thought about this, and there are these clear, defined cycles when you look back, and it's like, well, if you had sold anywhere between 50 to 69,000 last cycle, and then waited until if you happened to catch it perfectly and you waited for the FTX collapse, and you bought then, you could have bought at 16,800. But even if you bought sub 25, that's still a pretty great trade.
Yeah.
However, the scary part of that, trying to time the markets, is let's say this cycle is so different than what we expect. Let's say 100,000 is just getting started. Let's say it goes to 250, 300.
Ooh, I hope
Let's
so.
say this ETF, what is the fastest growing ETFs of all time, don't stop. What if pension funds, bigger hedge funds, they start gobbling it up? What if we go to the heights we've never seen before? And then, you exit at 100, but it goes up to 250, 300, and then it corrects back to 120 or 150 or 100. Is it just, well, I didn't make anything, I buy back in where I sold? Is it, well, I write that off? Like, how do you approach that situation?
Ooh, now I think oh man, Andy, that's a good point. That's something to consider for sure. That's super valid. That could happen. The thing is, will the economy get better? Are we ever, I mean, we're not getting out of debt, I don't think.
No.
So we're just kicking that can a little bit further. I don't know. I mean, at what point do we figure out? Well, I mean, people probably already know, but what point do we figure out we don't have enough money? We're just going to keep printing it and keep printing it, and keep printing it. I would assume there'll be a black swan event, but I don't know that for sure at some point. And I think that's why for me, I'm at least considering starting slowly to DCA out of it at that point. But yeah, I mean, it could 100% go to 250, and I would love that. That'd be great.
Well, who knows? I don't know. It's either going to surprise all of us. I think it's going to surprise us no matter what.
Yeah.
Or it's going to underwhelm. I'm very excited to see what happens. So I want to end this with a couple last thoughts from you about, let's talk to the Timmys for a second. If you're just getting into the space, you just kind of woke up to crypto, you haven't been here all bear market with us, but it's still not too late. We're still at the early stage of the cycle. If you were that person, if DJ went back in time, you erased all your gains and all your experience, what do you wish you, as that Timmy at this stage of the market, what do you wish that person would know?
Ooh, if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to have to take riskier plays if you want to make a bunch of money, or, otherwise you could just go buy a CD, which isn't good for you either way. So I would definitely say come into it. And if you're going to do it, just do it. If you already are, I hate to say this, if you're already poor, what do you have to lose? Like, if your life already sucks, what else do you have to lose, man? Oh, what, your life's going to suck still, right? Take that risk, man. You got to take risk in life. If you take no risk, I'm not saying don't take crazy risk, but try your best to take calculated risk and just go for it. Because what else do you have to lose?
Yeah. Calculated bets. I love it. Well, DJ, thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Thank you, Andy.
For those who want to follow DJ and check out all of his stuff, I will link it all in the description down below. But thank you very much to everybody for listening in. See you in the next one.